Right, boxing fans, hello and welcome to another news update. I'm your host, Kurt Ward, and I'm joined by Adam Smith, Andy Patterson, and I couldn't remember who was on then, Alex Morris. We're going to be looking at the news of Klitschko postponing his world heavyweight title defense against Tyson Fury, plus some other news. First of all, Andy, what are you making of the Klitschko postponement? Many people out there saying, Tyson Fury's scared another heavyweight as he did in David Haye. I mean, do you buy that at all?
Nah, not at all, mate. I mean, obviously, I'm disappointed the fight's been postponed. It's funny enough, actually. Well, I feel sorry for those that have booked up. I'd actually planned to do it myself, and I'm glad I didn't actually. Same with the Donaire quick fight that's never going to materialise, but that's another matter. Yeah, I mean, Vlad isn't ducking Fury. I mean, let's be real about it. I know he's had injury pullouts in the past, but he's always had that fight rearranged. And I know you could look at the Chisora fight as some sort of yardstick to say, well, he didn't fight him, but then he went away and took the bigger fight with David Haye, bigger money, more high profile fight, unification fight as well. So that Fury, Vlad's not running scared whatsoever, and he's never going to drop the WBO belt. I mean, I think he's been clear he wants to collect all the belts available to him, and he's not going to drop a belt he's held something for what now 10, 12 years, whatever it is, so many defences. Nah, I don't buy it. I mean, I know people are going on Tonto on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, but I mean, I'm hearing what late November, maybe December 12th, possibly for the rearranged fight. What I have been reading though is apparently they're going to be announcing a rearranged date next week. So hopefully it sounds like the injury isn't too bad. But then you don't know as well if just say the injury isn't legit. I mean, you could also add the hypothesis that maybe Klitschko is playing games here, but I don't know. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of hassle and mind fucking to go to this length just to try and unsettle a challenger to your title. So no, I don't buy it. I think the injury's legit, and it is going to happen definitely, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it's a minor injury, but I think Klitschko's one of those guys, as Fury said himself, he's a perfectionist. He's not going to go in that ring unless he feels he's at his very best. And I just think if it's only delayed end of November, early December, I don't think there'll be a problem. I mentioned off air, we saw it with Pulev fight last year. It was supposed to be September the 6th, and it was delayed a couple of months. Even the John Mark Mormek fight, if you remember, was originally slated for December, and it was pushed back by 2.5 months. So, as he's got older, there has been a few injuries, but I've said it on Twitter today. He's never avoided anyone, in my opinion. He's never ever dropped a title. Tyson Fury's dropped a title to not fight somebody. Vladimir Klitschko's never done it. And if he did drop the title to not fight Fury, then I'd be criticising him because he's always shown a willingness, one of the very few champions, to defend his title against absolutely everyone. Because his goal is to have the whole set. When he fought someone like Leopold, for instance, a lot of people gave criticism. Leopold didn't deserve a shot. He shouldn't have been fighting for the title, but he got that mandatory position, and Vlad, took him on. So that I think that tells you everything you need to know that he's happy to fight anyone, if they get in that position. I mean, Alex, have you got any fears that this fight won't happen at all now, and that Klitschko may go somewhere else? I mean, people are talking that the way he can get out of this fight if he did want to is if Deontay Wilder comes calling, because Wilder's obviously got to fight Alexander Povetkin. Can you see that happening? Because Wilder won't fancy that fight and rather go for all the marbles against Vladimir.
Well, that fight's a bit down the pipeline, really, isn't it? I don't think that Heyman, especially, doesn't want Wilder fighting Vlad just yet. I think that he's going to milk him a little bit more in Alabama and try and get that belt, all the money's worth, really. He's fighting that Duhal Pass rubbish next, well, tomorrow, in fact, and no one's really interested in that. On the fact that Vlad's injured, people, forget he's a 40-year-old man now. He's getting on a bit, and apparently he does train like an absolute cunt, and he trains all the time. He probably trains too much. People were saying he trains 4 times a day, which is a bit ridiculous, and it's just asking for an injury, which might be the case, or maybe it is the classic cycling that we like to mention a few times on this podcast. But like you say, until he bins his belt or anything like that, or he gets stripped, then it's not a duck to me. The fight is going to get rearranged. It's going to get rescheduled, and by the sounds of it, it's going to get rescheduled. A month afterwards. The problem arises, and I can understand why people are upset, is because Fury fans especially, they've been through it before. They've been through it with Hay twice, and the fucking cancellations of flights and train or whatever, and your hotels. It adds up, and it's fucking annoying. And that's why I understand people are pissed off and upset, and they're looking for someone to blame. And obviously they're trying to blame Vlad, and they probably get a bit irrational in their blame. But I do think the fight is going to happen. Like I said, if it doesn't, then Tyson gets himself a shot at a vacant title. And, the Fury fans should be happy about that, because he's more likely to win a vacant belt against whoever he's going to be fighting. I was looking down the list, there's a few tough names on there. But, none of them are obviously nearly as challenging as Vlad. There's Povetkin on there. There's Anthony Joshua for a start. I saw Carlos Takam way down the list. There's a few other, absolute no-hopers that Fury could easily beat. But obviously that's looking a bit into the future, assuming that Vlad is ducking. I don't think he is ducking. I just think that he's an old man, probably near, on his way out, and, the fight will get made, and he's just a few niggles, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is obviously feeling for Tyson Fury. This will be, his third big fight. I mean, I know the Chisora fight was postponed as well, but that did actually take place. But this will be the third fight, at the moment. Some people are saying they don't think this one will take place. But on another hand, Tyson Fury's career has actually been enhanced by the guys that are not gone through the fight soon. David Haye obviously pulled out twice and never fought him, and now says he never will fight him if he ever comes back. And people have, maintained that, he didn't want to fight Fury. He made up excuses. He was scared. Now it's the same with Klitschko. I mean, Adam, do you buy that and maybe see that this fight maybe will have more people looking at Fury winning now, based on the fact that maybe Vlad at the presser saw something maybe he didn't fancy and needs more time to get ready for this fight?
Well, someone said that to me at work today, that these pull-outs have almost enhanced his career, but they certainly have not enhanced his pocket and his bank account. Yeah, it gets the name out there, but I mean, obviously, I am gutted for Fury. It was a fight I was genuinely looking forward to, and all it's done is postponed. The 100+ quid I've got already invested on the Vladimir KO is now going to be held hostage by some bookmaker in Ireland for a couple of months. Anyway, gutted for Fury. I just question how as Vladimir got injured from a Tuesday, I think it was a Tuesday Batman press conference, to today. Was he injured before, during, or after the Batman press conference? I was questioning that myself. Obviously, none of us doubt, Vladimir. He has had delays before, as mentioned, and he always goes through with the eventual fight. So, his reputation, we shouldn't really be questioning him. I mean, it could in a way show, that he's taking Fury serious. The injury doesn't sound massively bad. They're on about putting the fight back maybe 4 or 5 weeks. We're not talking a serious injury here. So maybe if he was fighting a lesser fighter, as there has been lesser fighters, mandatory challengers. Obviously, Fury is one, but there's been, lesser threats to Vladimir's title reign than Tyson Fury. That is for sure. So maybe it's showing that he's taking Fury serious. That's decent. I think Fury's taken it pretty well. I mean, we was all sitting in anticipation, ready for his Twitter account to explode, but he seems to have taken it quite well. I've not heard what he said on Sky Sports, but, it sounded okay by your standards. And the last point really from me is tickets. Seems to be, from what I've seen on Twitter today and screenshots, seems to be a lot of tickets still available. Is that an issue? I don't know. Or, I mean, we know Frank's not involved in this promotion as such, but it could be an old Frank Warren.
They're not offering refunds on your tickets either.
Yeah, I think that's, especially when you've got international people going of different backgrounds, shall we say. I think that the doctor, our very own doctor, has got tickets. He's not going to get a refund on his flights or his hotel.
He's very upset. He spoke to me today.
Yeah, I honestly, for an international event, I mean, and we've got to remember that Vladimir is not from Germany either. For an international event, I think that would be a poor show if a refund was not offered. I'd take it if a refund wasn't automatic, fair dues. But if a refund is not an option at all, I think that's a poor show from from whichever stadium it is in Dusseldorf.
Andy, the big danger now, I think, for Tyson Fury and his fans is how hard will this news hit him? I mean, if he's in great shape, ready for the fight, the fight is pushed back. I mean, maybe in his mind he sees it all happening again, and Vlad might go somewhere else. Does he hit the booze hard, or does he
Yeah,
stick to his task? I mean, Peter, we know will be in his ear, making sure he sticks to it, but it's hard to control someone like that.
yeah. I mean, I dare say. I mean, did you say that Tyson's maybe quite impulsive? He might just act on a whim or whatever. Hopefully he stays in shape. I mean, I know he's dropped something like he's at 3-4 stone in the first 3 or 4 weeks of training camp for this fight. He can't afford to go and put it back on. I really hope what I've heard that the news next week is going to be announced for the rearranged fight. So hopefully we then know what we're dealing with. Fury might take a few days off just to kind of let himself replenish a little bit and then get back into the hard graft again. I mean, I can understand if he has got a calf injury and stuff like that, it's going to affect Klitschko's sparring as well. So he probably wants to get some sparring under his belt. So you just don't know how it can affect him in training and stuff as well. But no, Fury, I would suspect he would stay in shape. Hopefully they've got some sort of assurances, that the fight is going to be arranged soon, and that maybe give him an added incentive. I mean, I know he was tweeting out pictures about pints of Guinness and stuff like that. It's just a fucking troll fest. He's just taking the piss there. I don't believe he'll do that. Hopefully he stays on the right track.
Now, just like a domino effect, which is also involved in this fight being postponed, was the Brook Diego Chavez pay-per-view card from Sheffield. Now, people are wondering, and
Pay-per-view, baby.
we're talking that this surely couldn't go ahead as pay-per-view, but looking at Eddie Hearn on iFilm London, his recent interview, basically, apparently they got obligations to the fighters, and he's going to have to make it a bit better card to sell it. But Alex, it's still going ahead as pay-per-view. I mean, this must be hard even for the Matchroom fans to defend.
No, it's absolute piss take, isn't it? I mean, people were saying, oh, the Chavez fight, it's all right. It's a good fight for Cal. It's, a bit of a litmus test for him, I suppose, because he gets to see how it looks against, how Furman did against him, how Rios did against him, how Bradley did against him. We're going to see how Cal looks. And it's all right because it's on pay-per-view, because it's on, the same card technically as Vlad Fury, but now that's not happening. So what's the excuse? And Hearn said, "Oh, we're going to stack it up. And we've seen what his example of stacking up is. And what's worse is that we know that for the start, the card's 3 or 4 weeks away, isn't it? What opponents is he really going to get, and what fights is he really going to generate for that card to make it pay-per-view worthy in a legitimate stance, not just he's got fucking Anthony Joshua on there, or James DeGale, or Martin Murray, or Tony Bellew on there against absolute fucking no-hopers. What chance has he got of making decent fights? Apparently, he's got the fights that are on there at the moment. It's the Gav McDonald, Jeremy Parodi fight, well, whatever. It's a good little fight, but not pay-per-view. There's Ricky Burns against TBA, because apparently Edis Tatley has not been confirmed for that, because he still thinks that.
That's what I was going to ask, man. What the fuck is all that about? I mean, they announced the fight 2 weeks ago, and it just so happened that I happened to be on BoxRec and just noticed it's TBA now. I mean, I know there was something in the Finnish press, but I thought the way I read it is that he was still at the table.
Yeah, that's what Tatley was saying apparently in this. I don't know how much credit you can give to that, but that's obviously the Finnish press, and they were saying, and Tatley, taking quotes from Tatley himself, basically saying, why are they saying this fight's been signed? We're still negotiating it. I haven't agreed to go over there and defend, or fight for this title or whatever. So, we don't know what's happening with that. Obviously, Ed's doing a bit of a Warren there.
Yeah, he don't normally do that. That's really poor. And Ricky Burns has been mismanaged by all sorts of people, including himself, and now he gets this treatment. It's not good enough.
Exactly right. Obviously, Eubank's on there, and that's going to be
against a top 15 rated guy. Remembers, lads, against a top 15.
Oh yeah, well it has to be because it's WBA interim belt. I haven't looked at
God
the
knows.
rankings, but
Probably if Brian King can get middleweight, he could easily get that fight.
Who's in the rankings anyway? Someone get the rankings up. And
not a clue. I don't even look at rankings. Waste of time.
Yeah, it'll be shite. What else have we got on that card? I think he mentioned Luke Campbell. Was he on that?
No, he's on December.
Oh, December, yeah.
My point is, because this originally started as a Sky show, and then pay-per-view was added when Fury was added. So, is it confirmed today that it's definitely staying pay-per-view?
I think the way Eddie was talking, it definitely is. He is going to go ahead with it.
I know the way he was talking, but was the question actually posed?
To be honest with you, I barely listen to any of his interviews now, in all honesty. I've got to rely on some of the guys. I read comments and stuff. I have no idea. I mean, Kurt, I think it was you who said that, actually.
It's an absolute farce.
He said he didn't. Coogan actually didn't ask him if the pay-per-view is going ahead. Eddie just said, I've got obligations to the fighters in the contracts, and that show now is going to have to be better. So I think I took it, and many have took it, that it's pay-per-view, but he knows without the big heavyweight fight, he's going to have to try and get some other fights on them. The obligations to fighters is obviously Cal Brook has signed for that fight, believing it's a pay-per-view fight, and he's going to get...
No, well, he hasn't though, has he? Because it was announced before it was pay-per-view. I mean,
No, they announced... Didn't they announce Vlad Fury on Sky first, and then they announced Brook Chavez to make it?
No. They announced Brook Chavez first.
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah.
Fury came after, and that's when the pay-per-view was introduced, when the Fury news was announced. When I first heard it, I thought, they'll just drop back into normal Sky because they've got this December the 12th on the horizon that could well be pay-per-view. There's no way on this planet, even by their standards, they can get away with an October the 24th without Fury pay-per-view and a December the 12th pay-per-view. I don't even think they can get away with that.
You could stack it. You could stack it, but even then,
they've got time to stack it though. It's 5 weeks
there's no point. There's no point because what's the point of stacking a card if you're not going to get any fight resembling 50-50? I mean, even a 60-40 fight you'd be lucky to get at this late stage.
Well, absolutely. We're 5 weeks away. There's no chance. I mean, after we seen last November, they have now got the ability to make any card pay-per-view, any card at all. I mean, given what we had last November in Liverpool, they have got, and apparently that sold well, they've got the ability to stack any card they take, but not 5 weeks out. If they said, right, we're doing a show in January, on January the 25th, it'll be pay-per-view, they can do that because they'll just bring all sorts of crap out, as we've seen. But 5 weeks away from Sheffield, if this remains pay-per-view, on top of some of the tripe we've had recently, from Leeds, Birmingham, etc., that is going to be a real bad year.
And the thing we know from seeing Diego Chavez's fights in the States, he picks up very little cash from the revenue. He picks
40 grand, was it not, on his last fight?
He gets a cut of Argentinian TV, but he won't be in a lot of money. So it's not like Eddie can use his rehash line of, to get these guys over, we need pay-per-view. I mean, people know that Chavez, he's on very little money considering the guys he's been in with. So, I mean, but I think Adam said it there. I mean, they can get away. I think they can get away with most anything. I think Eddie has got such a fan base, and it sounds bad, but the promoter has got a fan base. The Matchroom brand have got a fan base, just like a football team, and people might not like it, and a lot of the Matchroom fans might not agree that this should be paid for you, but there's so many fans out there who will pay for it, to support the Matchroom brand. And my problem is with it, when you set your bar that low and you're basically just saying, well, whatever you put on, I'm going to pay for it because I support boxing, I support Matchroom. Where's the quality? Where's the quality control going to be? That's the problem. And to me, I know that I won't be paying for it anyway. So people might say, well, what's the point in moaning? But I just think for the people who do pay for it, just because you're willing to pay for it doesn't mean you should. I mean, if they put on Everton Liverpool game this Sunday, if they make that a £10 pay-per-view, Liverpool and Everton fans will pay for it. Does that mean they should? No. So I think people need to set the bar a bit higher, to be honest, for pay-per-view events.
It sets the standard as well, doesn't it? I mean, the lower they go, they know the standard that people will pay, and then the quality will just get lower, and that affects everyone. That affects the people that aren't paying for the pay-per-views, because it means the standard shows that aren't pay-per-view, their quality will drop even lower because it will be compared to what pay-per-view standard is, and obviously a standard show's got to be even less quality, hasn't it? So they're just going to get worse and worse. And the fact people can't seem to grasp this idea is just really baffling to me. Go on.
I was one of the people that couldn't grasp that idea, and I argued that they're putting bums on seats and it's okay. You have been proven correct. The standard has gone through the floor, and people like people like us are frankly becoming disillusioned by it.
Yeah.
Last Saturday's show, a lot of our cult, if you want to call it, or anti-cult, didn't even watch the show. So we are suffering. We are suffering, and Eddie's bank account is just getting loaded.
The thing is, they're going to make this pay-per-view. There's one guy that they can just stick on it, and casuals will buy it.
But the thing is, he's the number one welterweight in the world just now.
Oh yeah, well, Kell Brook, obviously. Everyone's running scared of him as well, of course.
Yeah,
But I think that
I see Spike O'Sullivan's been tweeting Eddie Hearn there just now saying he wants Eubank Jr. fight. I mean,
it's
I
not
would
going
love
to be
to
on
see
that
that fight.
card.
I would as well.
It's
I would
not
love
on
to see
that
that
card,
fight.
though. It's not
Yeah,
on
I
that.
know, but it doesn't matter. Just
That'd be superb.
I
And
would love to see
Great
that fight.
fight.
do you know what? Spike O'Sullivan would take that fight in 5 weeks. No
But he
problem.
can't, because he's got a fight scheduled with his promoters, the Murphy boxing guys, in
Still in New York,
like a week. Yeah, like a week before or something. So, and I don't think he would take a fight with Eubank.
Well, I wouldn't put it past. I don't want to put it past
He's a bit of a mental bastard, but
I just think, going back to the quality of the pay-per-views, I think we saw it already. Since Bellew Cleverly was put on pay-per-view and it did all right numbers or good numbers for that show, people are now saying when there's a pay-per-view event, oh well, it's not as bad as Bellew Cleverly. And if this pay-per-view goes ahead, Brook and Chavez, which I've got no problem with that fight on its own, but as a pay-per-view, it's crap. Now, any decent fight, people won't be saying, "Oh, this pay-per-view's good. I'm paying for it." They'll instantly say, "Oh, well, it's better than Brook Chavez or the Brook Chavez card," and that's the wrong way to look at it, I think. And it was looked before that pay-per-view should be the Mayweather Hattons, the Klitschko Hayes, the Hatton Zoos, the massive names.
Well, Hearn himself,
high order, exactly.
Hearn himself said that pay-per-view should only be for fights that are massive. And the problem here is
Kessler Frott's been one of them. Kessler Frott's been one of them, right? He says because he needed that fight, he needed that pay-per-view. That was the first pay-per-view I think since the Hay Klitschko fight, and they said they needed that fight because they needed to pay Kessler's quote. Right, there's only exceptional circumstances, and he tells us that the Bellew Cleverly rematch had to be pay-per-view to get it made.
No way.
And yet, if you remember, he got over Lucian Bute, who sells at 20,000 seats every single fight, and he got him over, and that was our normal Sky. I don't know how they can do that.
This is the thing with pay-per-view. I've got no issue with pay-per-view for two circumstances. It should be two criteria. It should either be one, you have to pay the purse of a really good fighter to get him over here, and pay-per-view requires it. That's understandable. Number two, it's a massive event like Frochgroves 2 or Pacquiao Mayweather. It's not. It should not be. The goal should not be to make a pay-per-view card because you can. It should be to make a great card and then stick it on pay-per-view.
Just going off subject a little bit, and tell me if you think this should be a Sunday thing. But I got posted a question today from Dale, my friend Dale Nichols on Twitter, and the question was, what has Eddie and Matchroom actually delivered this year? Nothing on the Christmas list has been delivered. The two titleists that they've gained this year, Selby and DeGale, have gone stateside. The only kid they've really had success with is Jamie McDonnell, and that is almost by accident as well. So what have they actually delivered this year? Silence.
There you go.
Well, I just think it speaks volumes. I mean, me, Andy, and Alex have been called, Matchroom haters, Eddie haters, all this. But I think Adam Smith has always been the guy who defends them. And when
unbiased is the word you're looking for. Unbiased.
Yeah. Now, unless you're believing that we've brainwashed him, I think it speaks volumes that Adam, he's saying what he's saying about Matchroom. I mean, it's not just a simple fact, let's attack Matchroom. We've got to call it how we see it. We've given Matchroom praise. We've talked shit about Frank Warren, and no one seems to care when we say it about Frank Warren. But it's when it's about Matchroom. The fact is, we're just saying that we just don't think that this is pay-per-view worthy. And I think most boxing fans, whether you're a fan or not, will agree with that. To be honest.
And just going back to the Brook Chavez. I know we accept it as a standalone fight. Obviously, we disagree with the pay-per-view, but I think as a pay-per-view proposition, it's a hard sell to the casuals because the first thing they're going to do, and even I don't know what's the middle ground between casual and hardcore, but the semi-fans of which some of our pals at work, they're going on BoxRec and see that Diego Chavez has won one of his last 4 fights. Now there's circumstances with them, that's fine. There's always circumstances, but just on a plain sell, Gary Cornish was an easier sell than Diego Chavez in my book, because undefeated, Commonwealth champion, whatever. Diego Chavez won one of his last 4. Next thing you know, he's fighting apparently the best welterweight in the world, having won one of his last 4 fights.
This is the thing as well. You mentioned Gary Cornish, but obviously he's linked to the big Anthony Joshua, and I think, do you think Anthony Joshua could be put on this card to save it? Knowing that he's got White in December, will they stick him on with, the worst bin man in Latvia?
Short answer is yes, because I think it was more,
it's a risk.
There was talk about it is a risk, but having the sold tickets, printed posters, etc. But
no, he will take that risk. He will not do it.
There was talk of it.
He'll not do it. He'll not do it. He cannot jeopardise that pay-per-view in December. If something was to happen, if he was to get injured, hurt a hand, pull a muscle, get cut.
Not been confirmed as pay-per-view, has it?
December 12th.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it's got to be, surely.
Well, if it was, I'd be £10 richer, because I bet my mate at work that it will be pay-per-view. So.
Of course, it's got Luke Campbell on it, it's got Kevin Mitchell on it, it's got Chris Eubank on it, it's going to be fucking pay-per-view.
Yeah. It's got 2 heavyweights, one involving Joshua, and they dislike each other. I think that's certain it's going to be pay-per-view.
I think,
they're both undefeated.
We're probably going off subject, but we're getting to the stage now where I think we almost need to class Anthony Joshua as a separate entity. Seriously, I do, because he is that big. The hype machine behind him is that.
He's the biggest star they've got. He's the biggest star they've got.
Despite whatever we say, he is on the verge of massive. I think we almost have to treat him as a separate entity. Honestly, I think that.
Well, yeah, we'll wait for it to be confirmed, but I think it was strongly implied that he's going to be pay-per-view.
Which means that you're going to get 3 pay-per-views over the next 3 months, because if it's true that obviously Vlad Fury gets confirmed, I think for late November they were saying, that's going to be pay-per-view again, because apparently that was in contracts. If we were to believe Hans' nonsense about all the contracts made Kell Brook a pay-per-view, then obviously Vlad Fury is going to be pay-per-view over here. Then you've got December as well. It's 3 months leading up to Christmas, where Sky fucking viewers have to pay 3 pay-per-views if they watch.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I think, mentioning that contract today, I think he was just caught a little bit cold. I mean, you probably noticed the interview wasn't very long. Coogan had a busy day, given who was on the top table. He's probably caught him a little bit cold. He hasn't really had much time to think about it. I don't think he has verbally, committed to it being pay-per-view. And that contract is an absolute load of tripe. It's a load of tripe, because Kell Brook and Chavez was signed before pay-per-view came on board. I don't really know what else to say, to be honest.
Well, if unless anyone's got anything else to say, Andy, I think we'll go on to the cruiserweight news you've got for us.
Yeah, mate, this obviously comes in from one of our listeners, Scotty RFC on Twitter. He's quite close to the situation. Apparently, it's to be announced very soon that Enzo Macronelli will travel to Russia and will face Roy Jones Jr. on the 28th of November.
I heard that it was either Big Enzo or David Hay was apparently going to come back and fight Roy Jones. But
yeah, I seen the face-off too.
Hay just is a publicity whore, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I'm more inclined to believe, obviously, Enzo's got the shot.
And why? Let's be honest. Why would Roy Jones fancy a fight with David Hay at this stage? I mean, Enzo's the more. Even Enzo's very dangerous, I'd say, for him, to be honest. But why would he? He wouldn't go in with David Hay, in my opinion. But I mean, what do you make of that fight? I mean, it's a bit random, but I mean, Enzo, I thought he was back down at light heavyweight, but now he's going back up for this obviously big name.
Money in it. It's just what it is. Is it for any sort of belt or nonsense like that? Obviously not a proper belt, but
there's surely going to be some. I mean, who are they targeting? They're targeting Lebedev, are they? Or he signed with Lebedev's promoter, hasn't he? So is it some WBA interim? I suppose will be on the line or something.
Or Maltese belt. What is it? The WBU, WBF, something like that.
It'll be something like the WBU German version cruiserweight title, WBO Pan Pacific Euro Asia title or some shit.
If Enzo Macronelli can do the job, does he become a legend? I say yes.
Well, you know what they say in Australia. To become a legend, you got to beat a legend. I mean, what do you think of the fight? In all honesty, I mean, Obviously, we've not seen Big Enzo since the Bremer fight, so we don't know what he's been up to. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
assuming he stays in shape, but
yeah. I mean, to be honest, even though
he's not a cruiserweight anyway.
no, he didn't he lost comfortably to Brymer, but he took quite a few big shots in that fight, and I thought his chin looked a lot more sturdier at the weight. To be honest, I mean, I'm not saying Brymer's some devastating puncher, but he was catching Enzo with shots that, the way we've seen Enzo recently, you'd expect him to be hurt by, but he took them all, and he didn't. His eye was badly closed, but he didn't ever seem to be badly troubled or wobbled or anything. And to go back up, I mean, I know Roy's not a natural cruiserweight anyway, but it's two fighters who probably shouldn't be fighting. Well, especially Roy Jones shouldn't be fighting. Enzo's had some horrific knockouts, and fair play to him, he still goes. But I think it's a tough one to pick, really. But you'd probably have to fancy Roy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean Roy's
It's
got
was
to
a
be the
decent
pick.
payday, I'd imagine.
I think Roy, for despite the trash that he's been fighting, he's looked half decent. I suppose he's been knocking guys out. You've got to think that his power's still relevant. I think at cruiserweight, but and with Big Enzo, that chin on him, especially at cruiserweight, you can't really trust it, can you? But you think that the guy that's still halfway relevant in the sport and was looking obviously in a mock title fight against Bramer, you think that Enzo would be the favourite here, but I could still see Roy knocking him out, and obviously that's why they've chosen Enzo.
And do you see Roy being the favourite in this one?
Well, it's in Russia, mate. I suppose his new adopted homeland. I suppose you've got to make him some sort of favourite. I mean, if anything, he's still got that. As maybe the proverbial puncher's chance. I mean, he seems to be kind of still, quite good with the left hook. I mean, you're not going to see any combination. Well, not much combination punches. You're just going to see him cover up. I think Big Enzo will make it competitive some way. I mean, if it depends on his stamina, his engine as well. But I think Enzo will give it a good shot. But ultimately, I think Jones would probably nick it or something like that on the cards. But as it says, we all like Big Enzo. I know we've pulled from the past and stuff. I know after that first Mackenzie fight, everyone was pissed off and stuff. He got his chance in the rematch and then took it. So hopefully he takes this chance as well and gets himself in line for I don't know what type of shot. I mean, some people say this shouldn't be fighting anymore, but it's his choices, I suppose. But hopefully it kind of leads on to something relevant for him.
Let's just say Roy wins this fight. Genuine question: how would you see Roy going in against Tony Bellew?
Fuck's sake.
Well, I suppose if anything, Tony would probably let him fight at his own pace, wouldn't he?
And that's a definite pay-per-view fight, isn't it?
Oh, fuck's sake.
Well, you've got a guaranteed all-time great, well, Hall of Famer anyway.
Tony
Definitely
Bellew
Aye.
against a washed-up veteran. Roy Jones. Fucking hell, man. I just don't want to think about it. I just don't want to imagine the hype. I don't want to imagine Tony saying he's going to, destroy a Hall of Fame legend and become a legend himself. I just don't want to imagine it. It's going to be horrific.
Well, put it this way, the board wouldn't let him fight in the UK, I don't think. And would he be able to get an NBC license in order to fight on,
Well, if he beats Enzo, surely the board might reconsider.
Yeah, I think he'll get one. To be honest, I think Eddie can sort that out. I reckon. But because we're in the cruiserweight division, I think we'll have to mention, the upsetter Oval McKenzie getting his
Aye.
well-deserved world title shot. It really, this isn't easy at all. This isn't some bogus vacant title shot. This is, he's going over there. It's going to be really hard for him. But he's called the upsetter for a reason. He's took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. Next Friday it's going to be live on Box Nation. I think we're all rooting for him, and it'd be great to see him do it. And at worst, put in a good effort and really, show that he deserves the opportunity. And I think, I just think if Ramirez, because it's short notice obviously for him as well. I doubt whether he'll have, no disrespect, but I doubt whether he'll heard or seen much of Oval McKenzie. And looking at his record, I think he's got one of those, confusing records. And if Ramirez takes him lightly just by looking at the record, I think the upsetter has got the chance to pull it off, and I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it as well, and he has promised us an interview when he gets back. So hopefully he brings it back with the belt, and he would be. I think I'm right in saying this. He would be the first world champion we've had in this podcast, reigning champion, I should say.
Oh, let's hope he wins.
Yep.
I mean, Ramirez, he has been training obviously for a while to fight Pablo Hernandez, but Hernandez nothing really like Big Ovo, is he? So it's going to be an interesting. Obviously, it's a bit different. You've got to consider him the massive favourite Ramirez, and Oval's really only chance is just to bomb him out, one bomb him. He might do that, but hopefully he does.
When's the fight again?
2nd of October, isn't it?
So I think
Yeah,
he's flying out Monday, I believe he told me.
yeah, it's Friday night as well. Friday, Saturday morning, it'll be on Box Nation. So yeah.
Team stream, baby. I'll be staying up to see if I can get a stream for it. I've got a website for South American channel, so I'll be using that.
Yes, yeah, so, best of luck to Alva. We'll be rooting for him. Anything else you want to discuss on this
Just to let
midweek
listeners
show?
know as we'll be discussing the Frampton Quick situation on Sunday's show.
Monday show.
Monday show, sorry, very apologies. I'm actually busy with the family on Sunday, so Monday show, just to let the listeners know, 8 p.m. Don't know if you want to do a wee plug cut on our historical piece we've got coming up, or you want to leave it in case it gets stolen by someone else.
Well, with the people out there, Steve, I think we'll have to keep everything under wraps from now on. Yeah,
Oh, your enemy close at all times.
they're out there listening.
I'm the Judas here, so I can just pass on the
Yeah.
information.
By the way, your pay packet's going to be short next month.
Yeah, we've ducked the wages. Don't worry about that.
Fuck's sake.
Well, if we've got a few minutes left, we might as well just let Alex have a little rant on the pay-per-view again, shall we? Because we know the fans want to hear that.
Right, shit. Eddie Hearn can die. He's a cunt. Brook's a cunt. He's a fucking knobhead. I hope Chavez knocks him out. I hope that Anthony Joshua fights on the card and gets injured. Career-ending injury. And fuck pay-per-view.
Not biased at all,
No.
We'd like to dissociate the opinions of Alex Morris from ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nowhere associated with this guy. All opinions are his own.
He's on another podcast. We've just had him on for tonight. Well, if that's everything, catch us at the usual podcast on Sunday. We'll be on Monday live. Catch us on this YouTube channel, and we'll be bringing you some, the fight reviews, discussion on Frampton Quigg, plus a lot of other stuff. Value of the week as well, making its usual appearance. I'd like to thank Andy Patterson, Alex Morris, Adam Smith. He went somewhere. His bird was probably minding at him. I've been your host, Kurt Ward. See you Monday. Thanks for listening.